Beyond.
Beyond.
Yeah, Beyond.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You worried me for a second.
I know.
You weren't going to say it, but then
Don't you worry. I got you, buddy.
Fine. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Beyond number 491. I'm Max Scoville, and I'm joined by Alana Pierce.
Great.
Zach Ryan.
Salutations.
And Marty Sleva.
Sunburn on my foot.
Yeah,
Just one, which is weird.
All right. Well, Brian's not here, so I guess you're the one who's going to blurt out things that have nothing to do with anything for the time being. We got a great show lined up. First things first, a little bit of housekeeping. If you listen to this show in audio form, you should subscribe and leave reviews that are hopefully nice. And if you're watching us on IGN, go to the Beyond page and go and like us over there. And if you're watching us on youtube.com/IGN Beyond, make sure you're subscribed because it helps us out. We don't get yelled at by those old men who live in the ceiling. Who are they, you ask? Well, tune in next time and we'll discuss it further.
The Morlocks.
Those awful roof boys.
Yeah.
What are they doing up there?
The elders of the sky. We got a good show today. We're in that wonderful period where things are just gradually starting to trickle out about what we might be getting from E3. There's a wonderful, big, exciting announcement. Hideo Kojima hung out with a fun actor. You're going to have to wait and find out who that
Charles
is.
Sheen.
Charles Sheen. But no, let's talk about this. What's up with Bethesda?
So Bethesda, obviously they have a conference this year, Sunday night at E3, like they did last year. And they are teasing it by this sort of map of an amusement park. And it looks like an overhead map of like the Magic Kingdom or something from Disney World. And it has like lands that are obviously Doom, and this is Elder Scrolls, and this is Fallout, Gwent.
One that looks like it's under construction.
Why would it be Gwent?
What did you say? Why did you say Gwent?
I said Quake.
I thought you said Gwent. So they don't make Gwent.
A weird ton of events.
But then there's two areas that have like construction signs above them, like under construction, coming soon.
Yeah.
And so everyone is sort of assuming that this means that they're teasing two different announcements of unannounced games at E3, which would totally make sense because that is a thing companies do.
Yeah. What do we think these are going to be?
I'm going to go right ahead and assume that the first one they're going to announce is Call of Cthulhu 3, we're skipping number 2.
That's a very good guess. They made a Wayne Gretzky hockey game in the 90s.
Everyone keeps waiting. One of these days.
Yeah, the great one they called them. So things they probably aren't going to announce are Brink 2. They're probably not going to announce Rage 2 because both those games are very bad.
I would also assume that we probably don't hear anything about a new Fallout or a new Elder Scrolls.
I mean, one thing is we know Bethesda's game studios is working on something crazy like 6 games.
Yeah.
And we know they opened up like a second studio. And so I don't think it's crazy out of the picture that maybe we're going to get a tease of something they're working on. I don't know if that means Elder Scrolls 6 or...
I think that we will get at the press conference a new IP. I don't know that that will be part of this Bethesda land that they promised, because how would you, for a new IP that we'll maybe have a teaser of, but probably The Evil Within. That's something that we've thought has been coming for a while.
Seems like a safe bet.
Yeah.
I think we kind of kicked around the idea that it might show up last year. I was kind of surprised that it didn't. So
Yeah, I mean, I
Very
think
well
it's the original game released in 2014. Like Tango has, aside from the expansion, hasn't really released anything since then. And so, I mean, yeah, if the core team directly moved on to a sequel or whatever their next game is, a 3-year development totally makes sense. I could see that being a game that is announced at E3 and then comes out this fall.
Like a Wolfenstein is a safe bet too, because those do really well and people seem to like them. And
Yeah, we had the teaser last year as well. But at the same time, like for Wolfenstein and The Evil Within, with the way that they have that map, I mean, I guess they couldn't have either of those without confirming a new game, right?
well, yeah.
But and it could be a new IP. They just can't have too much information. I don't know. I think I'm very excited to see what this looks like. And you actually can apply to attend online. They have a registration link that's actually up on their Twitter. So anyone can apply to attend as long as you're in June during E3. You can actually go to this cool Bethesda Land thing and find out what they all think.
That's what's really interesting is Bethesda's kind of been famously like moving towards more like fan-directed stuff. Like they've got QuakeCon. That's where they do a lot of big announcements.
Blink 182 live at the E3 press conference launch.
182?
Did you say 182?
Just said 182.
Isn't that when you kill a cop?
It's 187.
Oh, never mind. Wow. Zach, so hard, Ryan. Sorry, I'm really sorry I called you that. Sorry, Lana.
Anyway, but yeah, they had like a big, they had a hey man, I'm trying. You know,
I'm sorry.
All you fine folks at home, I do my best, and then you come in the comments, they're mad at me.
Not always, Max.
These chuckleheads who do it, they mess it up.
Just flanking you from each side with the
awful.
goofs.
So hard.
Yeah. But no, so what I was saying was that they do a lot of kind of fan focused stuff.
Yeah.
And they've been, I mean, there was a big thing where they weren't sending out review copies of games, and this is the first E3 that's open to the public, and they're like, hey, we want to talk to you. Like, we want to have a show for fans. Didn't they have like a big thing on the floor after their press event last year that was like open to the public, kind of?
Yeah, that's where I saw Blink 182.
There you go.
Not gonna yell at me now. Yeah, and it was mostly. I don't know how those people actually got invited, but it was mostly not media.
Well, if they were playing the show, I imagine that they let them, they probably gave them wristbands.
Travis Barker is famous. Several tattoos and survived that plane crash.
That was one of the only places at E3 that they had Fallout VR playable, and so I lined up for it for a very long time, and they were like, wait time from where you're standing is about 2 hours. I was like, oh, never mind. Would have been cool to see, but not really worth it.
I don't know. I played Doom in VR last year at Bethesda's booth, and it was fine. I mean, it was just like bigger Doom.
I bet we'll see more of Fallout VR. I bet at the show they'll be like, hey, this is a real thing, and it's coming out this fall.
Also, one of the things that kind of struck me as surprising was on the map, the image of the map that they sent out was they had one of their areas was Dishonored themed, and so I guess that means that we'll maybe see some sort of DLC. I mean, they're not going to announce a new Dishonored.
No,
but
I would think
they had what, the Witches of Eastwick or whatever that DLC for the first one was called.
It was called Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus, yeah. Something
Yeah.
Wicked This Way Comes.
Yeah. That DLC was great.
Yeah, it was called Witches of something, right?
Brigmore. The Witches of Brigmore.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a reasonable guess. What were the others? One of them looked like Fallout. In terms of
There was a
specifically
Fallout. There wasn't
construction.
necessarily a Fallout land, but there was a what do you call that man? The Fallout. Vault Boy. He was sort of dead center in the middle of their map. So
I mean, I could see him being like their idol that you go and pray to.
yeah, there's a Quake area. Pray to. There's a Quake area. There's a Prey area.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, they've sort of been crushing it over the last couple of years. Prey looks really cool. Obviously, it's out later this week, but like we mentioned, we don't have copies yet.
Sure.
And then between Dishonored and Wolfenstein and
Elder Scrolls
and Fallout, like they've been releasing Evil Within. They've been releasing things that people actually care about.
Yeah, and they've got
like-
that. They've got the card game, the
Legends.
whatever.
Gwent.
Yeah, it's also
Gwent.
for a while. I think Ubisoft was putting out a lot of my favorite games, and then Ubisoft got into that thing where they all feel kind of similar. The games that Bethesda put out are all super different.
Incredibly different.
Incredibly different. Like something like Prey wouldn't feel anything like The Evil Within.
Or Wolfenstein,
I agree with you, but I also, to counterpoint, they're all first-person adventures. They all have very different mechanics and very different feels, but it's all like Dishonored, Prey. They're all like
Fallout, Skyrim.
They're all from the same perspective. But they
Evil
have
Within's
very
probably the
different
only
mechanics.
one that's different. Yeah. That's interesting.
Quake is obviously just an arena shooter. But yeah, I think
Also, do they have anything that's like?
a lot of steam on that one. But you know where I was going with it.
Do they have anything that's rated E, or are they like entirely?
Oh, no.
like, adult?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they have anything rated teen.
Yeah.
You might be right.
I mean, like Fallout Shelter, maybe. Even that.
yeah.
You can
Fallout
have,
Shelter,
you can have
yeah.
sex in the.
Nah, you could do too many babies in that game.
Too many
The
babies.
baby's hidden is
But Muppet Babies has several babies, and that's really rated teen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alana, you want to talk about this next big thing? I'm
Yeah.
afraid to even read it because I feel like it's too.
We'll
big
let
of
you
a-
do this. You got to announce this, so we'll let you do
We
it.
are not live streaming this right now. Darksiders 3 is coming. I'm super excited about this, and we went to see Gunfire Games in Austin, Texas. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I got to play a very small chunk of the game, but we have a new story and a trailer up right now, and we'll have just a whole bunch of coverage for the rest of the month.
This is our IGN first for May.
Yes.
Well, hey, hold the on for a second. How is this game? How does this exist?
So, yeah.
I think that it's to be like, it's great, it's coming out soon, it's real good. It's like, no, this came back from the dead.
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy journey. Have any of you played Darksiders?
I played the first one, but not the second one. But I've also been told that the second one is better, and I should play.
I love both of them. I'm a huge fan of those games.
I really enjoyed the first one a lot. It just felt like a sort of macabre Zelda. So
It is. It's like God of War Zelda with Portal in it as well, which is like, I like all of those things.
Yeah.
This is great. Whereas 2 is a little more like an MMO. But basically, they were owned by THQ, and THQ obviously went under. Nordic Games bought the rights to Darksiders. After a while, there was this issue where like everyone at Vigil Games who worked on Darksiders were like, oh, we all just lost our jobs because we didn't get picked up. We all just are done. And apparently they were really sad about it, obviously. And a lot of them went to Crytek and then came back and started their own studio, which is called Gunfire Games. They made Chronos, which is one of my favorite games of last year. It was an Oculus exclusive.
oh yeah, I remember you talking about
Really
that quite
good
a bit.
game. I
Yeah.
like
Game needs to come to PSVR.
That would be great.
Yeah.
You should have told them that.
Well, I think they had a funding deal with Oculus.
Yeah.
I think that it was...
You should have your last news story of the month be that it's coming to PSVR.
I'll work on that, but I don't think that
That's how news works.
could be a lie.
Get your strep throat. It doesn't matter.
Write wishes on IGN and then maybe come true.
Okay. Yeah. So that
Comment in the comments below, and hell, maybe it might happen. I don't know.
So that whole thing happened, and then somewhere along that timeline, Nordic Games bought the rights to Darksiders, and everyone was like, "Oh, they picked up Darksiders. What are they going to be doing?" But they ended up just making Darksiders 2 the Definitive Edition.
Let's call it that. Don't call it. We don't need to
That's
call it
what
that.
it's called. So they basically worked on getting the older games to the current gen,
And they re-released Darksiders 1 on the current consoles as well.
which I think was War Mastered. Yeah. So I like it. All right. I'm down with the puns. So then the studio, which is now Gunfire, were like, oh, maybe we could start working on another one. And Nordic Games ended up rebranding to THQ Nordic. Totally separate group of people, but they ultimately decided Nordic Games wasn't a strong name. THQ has a legacy, and they had picked up some of THQ's properties.
Hey, hold on a second now. It says here you with THQ Nordic. Is that any affiliation with the ones who made the SpongeBob Game Boy Color games?
Yes.
I like that. Like, who is like, oh yeah, THQ. That's a good series of letters to attach to your new game studio. What a terrible idea.
Well,
you guys had those Saints Row car washes that cost millions of dollars.
Well, in theory,
You sent out $800 dildos, didn't you? Was that
they
it?
really did. Yeah.
You made tombstones for dark. Like THQ's like, oh, you threw all those balloons in the bay for.
That one was funny. That one was very funny.
Wacky PR stunts aside, they put out some great games.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's where South Park Stick of Truth
Bottom is
started. That's where Evolve started.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to be this far like out from this and to see kind of these like Phoenix properties rising from the ashes of like these like this Darksiders I thought was going to be gone forever. I thought it was dead.
Well, yeah, it had been through like a weird series of rumors where Joe Mad, who was the lead concept artist, he might have even been lead artist on the original game, sort of like posted something on Facebook being like, Darksiders is not dead. And everyone was like, Darksiders 3 confirmed. And obviously that wasn't the case at the time. He was just someone who had been asked about Darksiders repeatedly and got really excited about it. So everyone kind of expected it for a really long time. THQ thing happened. We all assumed it was dead. And now THQ Nordic has picked it up. It's almost entirely the same team.
That's awesome.
Loads of the same people. And they've also, I think it's kind of to their advantage that they worked on a bunch of other stuff since. Like a bunch of them worked at Crytek. They worked on Chronos. They've worked with different platforms and gained a bunch of different skills. So it's like that team left Darksiders for a while, got a bunch of external training, and then all came back together and are now working on Darksiders 3. So and when I was at Gunfire, they kept saying stuff like, it feels like we're home again. It's like you work on this franchise that we all kind of met each other through, and we feel like we're home again, and we know what this is. And
That's cool.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
and yeah, there'll be coverage about it all month, but it's been seemingly a crazy journey. We'll have a video up fully about that and about how complicated and crazy that's all been, but it effectively seems like all of these people lost their jobs, were terrified that the franchise they had built was dead, and now it's back again. We have a new protagonist, which is Fury. She's super cool, has amazing hair. I'm pretty much going to write like 50% of a feature just about how cool her hair is. She's kind of like Catwoman mixed with God of War, which I'm down with.
Okay.
And the game itself,
I'd play it.
it's set on Earth, but it's post-apocalyptic, so everything looks crazy, and it's
It's all like weird, like kind of Revelations post-apo. It's not just like, oh, there's a bunch of old crap. It's like there's like
there's angels and demons and all that good stuff. And
Everything to me from the footage I've seen looks like it's just about to explode. Like the way that the art style to me looks like it's all cracked and glowing, and everything looks like it's just on the verge of almost blowing up. It's great.
it is, yeah.
Looks awesome.
But Fury's like sent there to fight the 7 deadly sins, and I've only seen one of them, but they're basically like just a physical embodiment of the different sins.
That's cool.
Reimagined in the same way that Vigil initially reimagined what the dark side is, or the horseman, would look like. So
okay.
yeah. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Was Fury one of the 4 horsemen?
Yes. So they have this poster that I think I got before the. She's not a real horseman, if that's what you're asking. She was one of theirs.
None of them are real.
Well, that's
I mean, like War and Death.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but the last two of Fury and Strife, and it's cool. I have this poster that is of Fury. I think it was like either before or during the release of Darksiders 1, and she's basically naked, and to see how different she looks now is crazy. Like, she's like full armor. She looks like if she was standing next to War, it'd be like a cute family portrait. She's like got all these metal skulls all over her and stuff, whereas the original art is just really just naked, just in a bikini.
yeah.
It's a cool evolution.
Come a long way. In a couple
What
of
year
years.
did? Yeah, I was gonna say, what year did Darksiders come out?
2007, 8,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
So that's a very like 2008 design aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Darksiders 2 was 4 years ago, so even since then, it seems like a bunch of stuff has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get too in depth because I don't want to tread on the coverage that's coming tomorrow. But I'm really excited about it, and it should be coming out.
We know just like top down details are 2018, and it's coming to the major consoles and PC.
Yeah,
On a scale of 1 to Iron Maiden, just how metal is this game?
it's roughly 10 Iron Maidens. I actually don't know. I've seen
What?
so little of it that I really
Iron
I
Maidens.
don't know. I wish I had been able to.
It's a solid Judas Priest.
Hey man, they're way more metal.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't have a metal. They don't have a kind of metal in the title though, so I guess I could see why you'd go with
In
that.
1 to Iron Maiden, it's that Japanese schoolgirl metal band.
Baby metal?
Yeah, Baby Metal.
It's a Cannibal Corpse. You
Yeah. Oh, that's scary sounding. I don't want to talk about that.
guys haven't heard those?
No, we've heard them. I just think they're scary.
That's fair.
Anyway, speaking of scary metal things, Hideo Kojima made a nice appearance at the Tribeca Film Festival and did some of his usual sort of wonderful fusion of movie stuff and video game stuff, and was just sort of rubbing shoulders with.
Yeah, is there a media event that Kojima won't go to? Like, he's just at everything.
Like
I love it.
Quinceañera.
I mean, there's no media coverage of your
What are you talking about? I had a hashtag. We were trending.
Anyway,
Because he's such a fan. He's like, there's going to be all these movie people here? Amazing.
so obviously he's busy working real hard on this game and hanging
Jeff
out with
Keighley follow him around with Snapchat filters.
hanging out with Norman Reedus and all that. And we got a little bit of an update on what they're doing with Death Stranding. Sort of. He said, let's say that Norman's character is walking in New York. We're trying to see what we can depict with Decima Engine actually looks like New York, if it scales correctly and what feels good there. Let's say the character goes in an Italian restaurant. Who the character meets going into the restaurant, what he will be eating, all those details are decided, are set. What we're working on right now is what kind of table will be there, what kind of specific details will be there, what's on the specific menu for this restaurant. So if you want to know how Death Stranding's coming along, they're trying to figure out what Norman Reedus' character will be ordering at an Italian restaurant.
This game is never coming out. Holy moly.
You have to figure out what kind of table. Well, there's an easy one. It's going to be red and white checker cloth.
Yeah,
and there's gonna
obviously.
be like a Chianti
What
bottle
I think
with a
this
candle in it.
means is that things are actually like the way the world looks. It just doesn't have skins on it, right? It's just like a white box.
No.
It's
Well,
an
I think
artist
he's
has to
also,
fill.
I mean,
This is, I think you're even taking this too literally. What he means is that the broad strokes of the story and the arc and the characters and the actions are done. And what they need to do
is
is
literally
make
make the
the
game.
video game.
Yeah, I assumed it was more than that.
Yeah.
Do you think he was using this as just a vague example because they were in New York for this? Or
And
do you
because
think
he
that-
wanted to meet De Niro, and so he's like, I'll just talk about that scene from the first
Really
Godfather
likes
movie.
spaghetti.
Yeah. So that's the
Yes,
kind of
yeah.
the follow-up part is that Kojima posted a bunch of photos hanging out with Robert De Niro, which is sort of a
So
weird.
sweet.
I mean, the guy is getting like
worlds collide.
the guy's getting good actors in his games, and occasionally you see that where there's an actor who shows up doing mocap or facial capture, whatever.
Are you saying just say the words?
I hope that De Niro's in
So do I.
Can you imagine living in a world where Robert De Niro is in a video game? Like, that is so crazy to me.
With it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wanna
He
be in
also
this video.
tweeted something that was like, I've now shaken hands with a bunch of people who Robert De Niro had shaken hands with. Like, if you look at his Twitter, he was like, I shook hands with all of these people. Like
Like
and
I
he
met
has
Al
this weird thing
Pacino
about
and
not
James
washing his
Caan,
hands.
Yeah, he's got to wash those
He's
mitts.
like, I wasn't going to wash my hands till I got back to Japan. I don't remember who that tweet was about,
Can't be
but
good.
yeah, he said that one time.
Yeah.
But the Jeff Keighley reference was Jeff Keighley tweeted a whole bunch of pictures of Kojima with Snapchat filters, and they're all pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll do
I want to
it.
hang out
I
with
would
Kojima in
look
New
at
York.
those.
Yeah, me too.
God, I just
just want to hang out with Kojima, period.
Yeah.
Just anywhere.
Yeah.
I love the idea of just, I don't know, 5 years from now or something, what are you playing? Oh, I'm playing that new De Niro game.
Yeah.
You believe that love can bloom on the battlefield, Fokker? I got large tentacle cables. Could you hook me up to some sort of nano machine construct? I don't know.
Yeah, all I want, given his love of De Niro and La La Land, I just want him and Emma Stone in the game, and then we're good.
Yeah.
I've said it before, I believe on this very podcast, I'm very excited for Death Stranding. I feel like every time we hear about it, that goalpost gets moved further and further away.
Kind of
and
agree.
I just want them to just zip it up and work on the game.
Well, that's what I was just
And then,
thinking.
yeah.
Like, the more different famous actors you put into it, the more pieces of a puzzle they have to fit into a plot.
Yeah.
based
Well,
around
not
who
only
these
that, but
people
like the
are.
more super intense schedules you have to work with for
Yeah.
shooting and like booking people to come out to wherever you're going to have,
But it's going to be out at E3. They're going to say it's out now.
yeah, right.
You are wrong.
Yeah.
You bet your career on it.
Be a good
I've
little
already done
bait
that
switch.
with a couple of things, so I'm fine.
Maybe Kojima just said this because he was tired of. He didn't want to talk about it, and so he just rambled about Italian restaurants. I don't know.
Guys, I'm stoked for this
would do
game.
that, you know?
I don't really care if this game never comes out. I'm kind of just okay with it being this constant, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be. We're working on it. We've got a real time spaghetti. It's working great.
I'm okay with hearing about like one weird thing about it every month for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit better playing it in a couple of years, but
Whatever.
Well,
Fine.
I think the biggest lesson that we learned from Metal Gear Solid 5 was that you've got to be patient when it comes to working with this dude.
Yeah.
You know, like we waited from the time that the Phantom Pain was announced to the release date of Metal Gear 5 to it actually coming out. How many years was that? Like
several.
yeah, so it was so long. And the game was amazing, but there's no denying that game was not finished in the vision that he had. So, you know, working for himself, doing his own thing, regardless of whether or not there's these little trickles of information, you know, just let him do his thing, even if it takes 6 or 7 years. Like I totally
Koji be
agree with you.
Koji.
Like, yeah,
I mean, he also intentionally hired a bunch of people who didn't have video game experience necessarily, which could potentially slow things down.
Go wrong.
We'll see, I guess.
I like it. Moving on, May is getting a bunch of new games from PlayStation Plus, as happens with every month.
Yeah, but this month's different because it's really good.
May is a good month, and so
Yeah.
May has been rewarded with a wide range of good
Featuring the
games.
Overwatch character.
May rhymes
Go,
with
go.
yay. Wait, you realize the word May existed before Overwatch?
No, it didn't.
false.
No, it
Oh,
didn't.
wow.
So anyway, PlayStation Plus has a bunch of games that are coming out this month. The one that comes after April and before June. Tales from the Borderlands coming to PS4.
Woo.
Marty, you love this game, right?
I adore this game. I think it is one of the best things Telltale has ever done. And there's a note here that says, would I enjoy this game if I've never given a darn or a hoot about Borderlands?
Like, yes.
I enjoyed this game, and I never gave a darn or a hoot about
Yeah, I think it's the best Borderlands game.
Yep.
I think it's amazing. Like the thing that I've always enjoyed about Borderlands was the sort of bits and pieces that they drop about the overall world, and I think that this game dives right into that and takes like those characters that are sort of small in the main games and really fleshes them out, makes them like really fun.
Yeah. And like Reese and Fiona, the main two characters that you play as, are completely new characters. Like, yeah, there are some side characters that you'll get a little bit more of, like, you know who Scooter is from the other games.
Doesn't
but
it have Handsome Jack?
yeah, and Handsome Jack. And it's one of those, like, yeah, again, you get a little more if you know who Handsome Jack is, but like that is such an incredibly well-realized character in this thing. And the thing is, it's the funniest thing that Telltale's probably ever done, but at the same time has a ton of gravity, tells this really cool Western story, and the characters are just incredibly likable.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, one game that does not have any likable characters is Abzu. Which
No,
is
what are
a
you talking
game
about? There's
it's
several
just all-
fish.
It's full of the animals of the ocean.
Yeah, they're very likable.
I don't like any of those.
What about Todai?
I'm really excited that this game is on PS Plus this month because I totally missed it last year.
Same here.
And when it came time to vote for Game of the Year, it wound up on so many people's lists, and it was one of those things that
None of you guys play it?
No.
I didn't play
man.
it. Yeah,
Oh, for a treat.
I know. And it was one of those things that the more and more I saw it show up on your guys' list, it was like, man, I really feel like I missed out on that. So this is an awesome excuse to go back and play it. And it's short, right? It's like
super short. I mean,
hours or something?
yeah, and it's the whole thing is like it's underwater journey. But it's like it's kind of underwater journey.
with that.
In the best way, and it also has the best swimming controls of any game ever made.
Yeah.
Which isn't saying a ton because
Yeah.
like most games have like just junk swimming controls.
Yeah.
But this is like it's balletic.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I skipped it because the idea of like an entire game that takes place underwater just sounds butt to me.
Yeah.
But I mean,
what?
like a butt. Like it just sounds like a butt. I don't
Okay.
want
Having its butt.
They're great, but I'm saying most underwater controls are terrible,
You're
and I
very-
think
you're
the
being
idea
very
of
unclear, Zach.
submerging an entire game is not fun. But I've I've heard that this is great, so I'm really looking forward to playing it.
Yeah, I'm excited to play this. I totally again, it was one of those ones where I'm like, I'm gonna play. We didn't get any codes in. Do I want to spend the money on it? I should support things I care about and that I love. And then I was like, yeah, but it's probably gonna be on PlayStation Plus soon. And here it is. And all I had to do was wait half a year.
Brian played it as well, though, right?
Yeah,
Brian
likes
loved
a
it.
lot.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was like one of his favorite games.
Yeah, and that dude hates water.
He loves the fish.
Yeah, he bathes he does dry baths.
Yeah. Coors bath,
Yeah.
if you will.
I will.
All right, Blood Knights is coming to PS3.
Yeah, we could have.
Oh.
I mean, we could have just. We're gonna keep going.
You don't want to talk about
No,
Blood
we
Knights
could have
for
ended that
PS3?
one. No, Blood Knights is when the blood moon comes.
That's pirates and merchants in that game, though. So
No, this is the next one.
This is Port Royale 3 is coming to PS3 Pirates. So we were like, yeah, there's some great games coming to PlayStation. Blood Knights.
there's-
all right.
You don't need to
There's
play
two
all
games-
6 of them.
There's
You
two
can-
games that we can certify as
incredible.
great, and then these other games are definitely games that are coming. To
I love the
PlayStation
first
Plus this
two
month.
Port-
I don't know
Port
anything
Royales.
about them. I can't say whether or not they're good.
Could be.
They could be great.
Okay. And then there's
PlayStation.
Laser Disco Defenders, which is coming to PS Vita. And,
Laser Disco
cross-buy with
Defenders
PS4.
sounds awesome. Just
Yeah,
in name alone, that sounds great.
And then there's Typewriter. Oh, I get it. Like like typewriter, but it's not. It's spelled differently. They spelled it out in a different way.
Remember when we were goofing about May? You're really turning it around. Here.
Anyway, okay, all right, fine. So that's what's coming out this month.
MEI.
PlayStation Plus is so great. Like I just love that we're at an age where we're like, oh yeah, I pay a minor subscription fee and I get free games every month.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, Xbox Games with Gold is cool too. I hope Nintendo takes some cues for that.
Me too.
You guys shouldn't whisper. That's Miyamoto can't hear you if you
Yeah.
whisper.
He's allergic to whispers.
No, he's not
sometimes
allergic to
forget-
whispers. He just
I
doesn't.
sometimes forget
acknowledge them.
that PlayStation Plus games are a thing, and then I'll find out retroactively that I missed a game that I really wanted to play, and it's like, God damn it, I gotta check this more often and be more like on the ball about seeing what comes down every
All
month.
right, well, let's all agree to actually get Abzu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Tonight.
need to play those fish games.
And then we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I
I
already have.
plans this evening, and I don't want to shake hands right now. So
Max is trying to shake hands with Kojima later, so he's gonna keep that hand.
So I
clean.
was shaking
watch
hands
it
with
a
a bunch
lot.
of famous Italian actors. Anyway,
Take this back home.
I had an awesome weekend playing a VR game that I've been wanting to play for ages. It's called Nog. It just came out. It's also available for non-VR. You can play it just on your PS4. It's one of those goofy ass indie games that's roughly quantifiable as a game, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's sort of
It's kind of a
puzzly.
toy.
Yeah, it's somewhere between like a diorama and a pop-up book.
So this is the game that we played at at the Sony VR event
Yes.
way back
Yes.
when they first announced all the
Yeah.
price points and stuff. And I remember you being really excited about it then.
Yeah,
This game's awesome.
I don't know what really. I actually played it at E3, like at one of the. It was one of those games that I was like, oh, there's no line at that one. I'll go check it out. Whatever the hell it is, and it's called Gnog with a G.
Yeah.
at the beginning and the end.
It's like eggnog, but you remove the E and the G.
or pornography. But no, like they.
Pornography, dude. That's what VR porn should be. Is that you put the pornography? Okay, we in that.
Okay.
Talk about the game.
So anyway, basically, it's all like weird, kind of colorful, like these head-shaped things, which sort of like feel like something out of like a Katamari game almost. Like there's just that same level of like this lot of colors and silliness, and each one of them comes sort of like each level basically is like in like a package that you have to open at the beginning, and you get sucked into this like weird sort of 3D space, and each
Tornago.
each like little nog, each little head is effectively like half a diorama, half like a puzzle you've got to screw with. And so like one of the first ones you're.
Is this the one where you have to like flip things to move? I played this. Yeah.
Have you played it in VR though?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
and,
it's beautiful.
The thing about it that really sucked demoing it was that it's such a game about just kind of like fiddling and like it's not a game you want to like burn through and be like, oh, I'm gonna get this right. It's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna flip these switches and see what this does and kind of
Part of the fun is in the trial and error.
yeah, and like everything makes little noises and little
The stuff you find is actually really cute. Like something that will work. You'll be like, I see a switch. I don't know what it's going to do. And then it does. And you're like, oh, man.
And I would say that it's a lot like Hohokum, which I really like too, but that was kind of, that was almost like too wide. Like it was too hard to tell. Like, like you'd fly over something and it would be like plunk plunk, and you're like, did I do anything? What am I doing there? And Nog is much like more kind of focused and small in that sense. So it's very clear when you've reached like, oh, I've solved this little puzzle thing, and it has that level of when you solve a puzzle, feeling as though you've accomplished something, that little kind of little endorphin rush of like, oh, I did it. But in this case, it's accompanied by like wonderful sort of VR light and sound.
Yeah, and it's a Double Fine Presents game, so you can imagine just that sort of tone. And it reminds me, the puzzly sort of playful nature of it remind me, they're iOS games, but stuff like The Room or Monument Valley, where it's very much like you're fiddling with stuff in the environment and changing things. And it's like you said, if I flip this lever, what does it do? You're like, oh, it releases, the water goes down, which means I could do this thing over here.
Yeah.
Monument Valley is a very, very close comparison, I think.
I feel like this is a little harder than Monument Valley, but yeah, in terms of like turning things for sure. I also remember part of it being in space.
Yeah, that's all.
Everything's sort of floating in
spaceships
space.
and-
Yeah.
Everything's nonsense.
Yeah, I thought it was really pretty though, and has nice sound design, and yeah.
Like I said, it works really well in VR, but it's also not VR. So if you just
I wanted to ask you what the advantages were to playing it in VR.
The advantage of VR is just it's really kind of like wearing blinders. which I really like about it. Like it's not a game that's like, oh, you're in this terrible situation, you got to get out. It's kind of like, all right, well, the frog wants to eat some butterflies, so how are you going to feed the butterflies to the frog? Figure it out.
Yeah.
You're like,
advantage that's the same as other VR, which is just it's immersive, nothing to distract you from how cute it is.
I would say there's a lot of really subtle VR like kind of bells and whistles that like when you and also describing it is just it doesn't work. But you get like this this new level in a box or whatever, and you sort of open it, and then it like sucks you into this wormhole, and as you're flying through, you're like, whoa, I'm in space, this is very exciting, or you're going to this new area. But if you look over your shoulder, you'll see this sort of closing portal behind you, as almost as though you're being sucked through like a physical
Like a butt.
Yeah, like a big butt, like a big butt in virtual space.
So,
Wait, so do you not like this? Because you didn't like butts.
in the game, while you're solving the puzzles, like while you're like in these dioramas, does the head tracking work to like look around?
Yeah,
things?
no, totally.
That's super cool.
I would like lean back on my couch, and it didn't do the thing where it's like, you need to get back in the game. It was kind of like, all right, well, the thing's further away from you now. Like
It is fairly centered though, right? Like you couldn't like get on the floor and look up and still see underneath it.
No, because you're also like rotating the thing like physically in space. So you don't need to like move behind it to get behind it. You just flip it over.
Yeah.
It's just very comfortable.
Yeah.
It's very like it's very low stress.
Like yoga. Monument Valley is a perfect parallel.
Yeah. It's actually the guys who made it are co-op. They made, I want to say it was Deus Ex Go. They made one of the Go games recently.
Nah.
Was it Lara Croft Go?
No, that's all Square Enix Montreal.
No, they teamed up with them. Like those guys worked with.
I think it might have been Deus Ex.
Deus Ex, yeah. They teamed up with these guys who
That's
were
right.
also
I do remember.
So it's, I guess, just what I really like about this game also is that it feels like a safe bet for a VR title because it's not exclusively VR, but it's way cooler in VR. But it's not one of those. It's like compared to something like Starblood Arena, which just fundamentally doesn't work without VR. It seems like it's just going to be a loss for whoever's funding it. Whereas in this case, it's like
that's sort of how VR feels in 2017 right now. Is that it's like too risky to just go full VR, and so it's almost something like Resident Evil 7, where you're like, hey, this is a great game if you don't have VR, but also if you have VR, like this is a showpiece.
Sure.
Product, which I mean, I feel like if I had the money and was funded to make something VR, I would definitely try to have something that also works non VR.
Yeah.
How much is it?
I think it's like 20.
I think it's $20. Yeah,
something like that.
You beat it?
Not yet. No, I want to take my time with it, and it's really cool. Also, I realized something that I very much do not like about VR is the feeling of it's like a larger version of wearing headphones when if somebody talks to you, excuse me, sorry, what? Sorry, and it like just bugs you.
Yeah.
So I had like people over and my mom was visiting and I was like, I can't play VR right now.
It's probably best to do that one like actually alone.
Just leave me alone.
Wait until
play with the Nog.
Yeah, wait until all your friends have abandoned you and then play that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Could happen any day now.
Yeah. Speaking of friends, we've got lots of friends over in the Beyond Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/podcastbeyond.
Do you think somewhere in New York, Brian's yelling groups.com?
Probably. Groups.com. We hop in there every week and get questions from you guys for Rapid Fire. This week, Guillermo Saba says, what's your favorite console ever?
Correct answer is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
That's a good one.
Nintendo 64.
Really good one.
Sega Dreamcast.
I want to say it's a tie between Super NES and I think PS4. PS4 is like a really very nice time.
I mean, if we're talking about ties, I would say probably Dreamcast or the original PlayStation for me.
Yeah, I mean, all 4 PlayStations right now have reasons that they could be at the top of my list of Sony consoles. I feel like PS1 is probably my go-to. I go to just because the JRPGs of that era were so good. Like Square was killing it so much, and then just the introduction of some of my favorite series like Resident Evil and Metal Gear and Symphony of the Night.
I jump around a lot on this. I'm also just very fascinated by the fact that the PlayStation exists almost out of a spat between Sony and Nintendo.
Yeah,
and it would have, and in some other timeline, this is a Super PlayStation podcast. Like we're talking about. Nintendo Sony hybrid games that run on optical media. I don't know. Scott Hanna says, who can eat the most hot dogs in one sitting? Somebody added a nice bullet point here. Who is that?
I would like to talk about this. There's a man named Kobayashi who's incredible at eating hot dogs. You should watch videos of him online. I think he's beat most men in hot dog eating contests, save for Joey Chestnut, the hero of America. But there's an amazing video of Kobayashi going in a hot dog eating contest against an actual Kodiak bear. And they filmed this. And it was really great because Kobayashi has that technique where he dips the hot dogs in the water. And then
Bear has the technique where it's a bear.
Yeah, but it was so good because Kobayashi's like crushing the bear because the bear is very bored at the beginning. But then the bear gets to a point point where he just puts his little snout right near the table and goes, raw. And he just uses his paw and he puts like 45 hot dogs in his mouth. And all of a sudden, Kobayashi's like, oh my God.
I think that was the first time Kobayashi ever lost.
He ever lost, and it wasn't to a man, but to Bear. It was incredible. It's one of the greatest videos in human history.
About it.
Bear, you know, and you know what happened?
It's so funny to hear him retell the story because I've seen the video. And Marty fucking loves this video.
But the best thing,
Brian showed it to us.
I only saw it for the first time like 2 weeks ago.
it's so good.
Brian showed it to us like 2 weeks ago, and I feel like Marty's been talking about it.
Oh, dude, it's been really good. And
So
also,
was that lady in the kitchen. I said, I don't know in what context, but I said the phrase, I referred to someone as the Kobayashi of
Oh no, you can't tell that story.
And this
all
woman
gonna
just
get
walked
fired.
past and opened up she was like, excuse me, and just grabbed a glass out of the kitchen. Someone I did not know.
Out
was
of
like,
context, it
"Ooh."
must have just been so awkward for the three of us to
Yeah.
be in the kitchen and her walk into that convo.
Yeah, it was
we
weird.
should link that video in the podcast
yeah,
notes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That being said, I
You're in
don't
for a
think I've
real
ever
treat
had
out
more
there.
than like 3 hot dogs.
Really?
I don't think so in a single sitting.
Yeah, I think
I don't know. I feel like on a good camp trip, I can crush like 5 or 6 hot dogs. No
so. The
problem.
no,
question
that's
is,
actually-
who do we think in this here can eat the most hot dogs?
I don't-
I'm ruling myself out.
I could probably eat the most hot
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it's Max.
I feel like, no, I'm going to lie. I had 4 hot
dogs
dogs.
at home. I'm probably gonna go home and eat some hot
that was
dogs.
the most sincere that I've seen Max just like in weeks. Oh yeah.
I went to Dollar Days at the horse race a couple weeks ago, and I think I had 4 hot dogs. They were like Baron hot dogs.
Those
It was,
hot
like,
dogs
just
are
mustard.
terrible.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because I was drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Think about that.
There was a time in must have been 1996 or so. I probably had 11 hot dogs. They were so good that day.
Yeah,
I was at
those
a
were
pool
simpler
party.
times. The halcyon days.
Max Scoville and the Day of the Dogs.
All right. Anyway, Yair Donan says, "What game would you show your 10-year-old self?" This is such a great question.
I've thought about this so many times throughout the course of my
Yeah.
life. Like, I would love to go back in time to like 89 or something when I was playing Super Mario and be like, hey, just wait, look at this. I mean, right now, I feel like it would probably be like Uncharted. Like Uncharted 4 or something like that. I feel like taking something so hyper realistic and showing it to myself at 10 years old, at 1995, would just totally blow me away.
I was going to say Breath of the Wild, but then it would ruin every video game that followed.
I mean,
Yeah.
But the thing is, also imagine if it was like, so whatever, it's the early 90s, and you're like, someone's playing Link to the Past, and you're like, hey, Zelda's gonna look like this someday. And you're like, and they're like, all right, well, see you in 25 years, kid.
just
And
know
you're like,
that you're-
what? How do you do anything? Like, how do you?
Back through your weird Rick and Morty portal.
Yeah.
See you later.
Two ways of thinking about this. One is, would you want to show something that your specific, like your 10-year-old self would be impressed by in terms of what you liked when you were 10, or would you want to show something that was just across the board, like technically impressive?
I think the latter.
Because no, that's the thing is, if I showed, I had to kind of get myself interested in The Witcher, and The Witcher's also like, that's a game that I played after Skyrim and after reading books and after Lord of the Rings and after all this stuff that I hadn't really gotten into when I was 10. Whereas if I take Battlefront back to when I'm 10, I'm like, hey, check out what Star Wars looks like in video games in the future.
Yeah.
You're like, holy crap. And I mean, Breath of the Wild's the same way because it's got enough familiar elements of Zelda.
Yeah.
I think that would be the one where I'm just like, that's the thing I want.
That'd be good. I also think it'd be a really good goof to go back in time and show somebody something like Shovel Knight.
This is what games sound like.
Look at what the future holds.
And you're like, oh, I mean, that's cool.
That's coll.
Because if every game's like DuckTales ever, that's fine. Yeah, that's really tough. Like Breath of the Wild's one that comes to mind just because I loved Zelda so much. I loved JRPGs so much. So like, I mean, playing Persona now, I feel like I wouldn't appreciate the coolness of it or like the sort of the Japanese-ness of it as 10. But then also like I loved horror things as a kid, and the idea of like showing me Resident Evil 7 or PT.
Yeah.
Like PT especially, because that's one of those games where like that's probably the best looking thing.
What if that was too scary and it just screwed you up? Like, back in time and you came back to the future and everything was very different because you'd turned into a big wiener because this time traveler had come and shown you the scariest game.
If I was a big wiener, how many hot dogs could I eat?
Hey, hang on a second. I feel like 10-year-old Marty would be way more terrified of his future self than he would be of any game that Marty would show.
Why? Oh, if I'm like,
Yeah, like if the old Marty just showed up back in time, 10-year-old Marty would be like, oh no, what happened?
what are you talking about? I bought some shirts. I know I have the sunburn on my leg, but that's fine. It's just like a mild inconvenience.
Come on, we gotta play PT. We gotta play PT. You're gonna like PT. It's a great game. It's for the future.
Come on, little Marty.
Oh, Rick.
Rick.
Yeah. Oh man, that's I love that kind of question.
That's a really
I
good
kind of
question.
want to say Child of Light because I don't know what games I was playing at 10 years old. I know I was playing games, but like giving that game to a 10-year-old girl and being like, this game is pretty and floaty and it's like designed in the way that a fairy tale is, but it's also really smart in terms of mechanics and it's challenging. And I wonder, like, if I gave that to myself at 10, if I would have been just like super inspired by that.
Yeah, I wouldn't give myself like a first-person shooter from nowadays because I'd be like, I feel like at 10, I probably played Doom. And that was probably it.
Yeah.
And so I'd be like, what? I don't know anything that's happening. I like don't understand what's going on right now.
Yeah, I think Max kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, it'd be really cool to take franchises that are still around now and take them back and show somebody that.
Like, I loved Batman as a kid, so maybe like one of the Arkham games.
Taking last year's Doom back to
A kid who loved the first
1995
Doom.
and be like, this is what Doom looks like in 20 years or something. Like, that would be mind blowing, you know?
Change
Because
my
like,
answer.
yeah,
For me, because it was 2003.
yeah, true.
That was kind of modern games were around already.
Yeah.
Lego Marvel Superheroes, because when I was 10,
Every one of those words.
Oh, yeah.
you were like, what?
Yeah, that's a really good one.
There were no licensed Lego sets. There were no Lego video games. And I don't know, Marvel Superheroes didn't, they were like, you want to watch a
Still pretty
Fox
niche.
Kids show?
Yeah.
They were still kind of weird. Yeah. Here's a good question. Philip Price says best color.
That's a very good
picked the
question.
questions this
I did. It's jungle green.
Lilac.
Red.
Just regular red?
Just red.
Basic.
Chartreuse.
What did you? Wait. Oh, yeah. Then you took red from him. What did you? In a Slack thread. It's fine. We can't.
Oh, I did.
What's your favorite color, Max?
I just said chartreuse.
Oh, that was a real color?
Chartreuse,
I thought
yeah.
that was like isn't that a green chartreuse?
It's a
like
nice
a green.
nice spicy green.
Have you ever drank green chartreuse?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's
Brad Shankar says, "Who is best girl in Persona 5 and why is it Makoto?"
It's a very good question. It is not Makoto though. Makoto's a little too buttoned up. As of right now, it is certainly on. We still go on several dates. Other girls I'm getting my confidant levels very high with them, and I get 10, and they're like, "Hey, I would like to date you," and I said, "No, ma'am, we are friends because I am saving myself for on."
What about sexy punk rock doctor?
Oh, dude. When I get her to 10, that's gonna be a tough choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like the church checkers girl. I don't know if you met
Haven't
church
met her
checkers.
yet,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's really cute and she plays checkers in church. I was like
like-
another game. It's called like Shogi.
I also
or
like
something.
homeroom teacher.
No, that freaks me out. I don't want to have sex with my teacher, yo. Don't shrug. You don't like butts.
I haven't played it, so I was gonna be like, what's that cat's name? But then
Morgana.
Isn't the cat also a man?
Do
mean
sex.
Morgan?
That was why I didn't say it. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to sexualize the cat.
But no, the cat. It's fine.
It wouldn't be the first time you've sexualized a cat on this podcast, Alana.
Okay.
Fritz.
Matt T. Garceau says, which games would you most like to see get spin-offs in the vein of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy? This is a very good question as well. I like this one. This is much better than the last two.
I like the
did not
question.
like
about-
I like the cat question.
There was no cat question. You created that.
So in the vein of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, I would put it kind of in the same category as the Behind DLC, or almost kind of Far Cry Blood
Second Son.
Dragon.
Or like First Light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a standalone.
Yeah.
It's not a DLC, it's not quite an expansion pack, it's a smaller continuation of something that's familiar.
I think this obviously suits narrative-driven games because that's the kind of contained package it is. But then Blood Dragon was not really it wasn't an expansion on that narrative at all.
No, it was the same mechanics though.
Yeah.
And it was a willingness to do something that like a full game might not do.
Yeah. So this is
like
like
it's
a smaller alternate universe of something that we already have.
Yeah, we're kind of an EP really. Like it's not a full album, it's just a little side thing.
I want to say Vanquish just because I'd love for that game to have had more content. Really?
So there was that rumors that it's coming to PC, and if it comes to PC and everyone buys it, then we'll get Vanquish too.
Hopefully.
That's how video games get
Seems
made.
great.
Maybe. Yeah.
Probably not.
I don't know how any of that works.
I'd like to see a spin-off of The Witcher 3 where you just play as Dandelion. You just go around and just play your lute and do kisses on women and just get in all kind of ruckus and
Blood and
trouble.
Wine.
Yeah, kind of like Blood and Wine, yeah.
Pounding snifters of vodka in an old library.
Yeah.
hanging out
Man,
with
I need to
nuns
play
or
Witcher.
whatever.
Oh, that sounds great.
And a bunch of
Very good
feathered
game.
hats.
Huge troubadour trousers.
Yeah.
Someone's making a
Dandelion.
statue of Geralt bathing.
Oh, yeah, I saw
yeah,
it
I saw
inside.
that.
Little giant.
Yeah, inside the little tubbies, he's got bubbles over his
Maybe
groin.
it's Dark Horse. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. I want one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's weird to have like a naked, roughed up Polish man as a statue.
Oh.
Okay, never
None
mind.
disagrees.
Yeah.
Richard White says, Alana, do they have Mexican food in Australia?
Yes. We have various Mexican food chains. One of them is called Gumen y Gomez. I don't know what that means. It might be racist. But it
Oh no, it's the name. The one opened up in Japan. It's the name, it's the two guys' last name, and the Y is and.
That makes sense. The burritos that they have there aren't actually that dissimilar to the ones I've had in California. But for other chains that have just like Mexican restaurants, it's nothing like what's in the U.S. or I assume in Mexico.
They put olives on everything?
No, they just put a lot more cheese on everything. Just a ton more cheese.
Okay.
Wonderful, yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Dan Simmons asks, what was your worst kiss in-game or otherwise?
Definitely now with On, things are going very well. we rode a Ferris wheel together. I think she put her hand on my thigh.
Yeah?
Nice.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I have a pretty good worst kiss story in that it's I'm not going to say his name or anything, but it's very handsome dude. He was an architect. He owned this beautiful apartment in this really old building.
Ed Mosby.
It was Ted, no,
Frank
there was
Lloyd Wright.
just like it seemed like on
Those are all the
paper-
architects that we know. Good work, everyone.
On paper, he just seemed like he was super charming, dressed really well. He just had all of these things that were going for him, and then I kissed him, and it hurt my face, and I was like, I can't do this.
What?
It was physically painful.
What?
He was just so aggressive about it that I was like, oh, and he just really in my face. To the extent where I think we were kissing on a couch, and then I ended up on the floor, like in a way that was
Just like kissed you off the couch?
kind of, but not in a way that was
You Fustro
hot.
Dad you?
It was just in a way that I was like trying to retreat, and it didn't. Yeah, it was
Did he
not.
make any noise? Was he like, moo, 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 moo?
I don't remember that much.
My first kiss was not good. Yeah, I kissed a girl at the old Grape Festival in Lodi, California. It's called the Grape Festival.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to do kisses because I was 12. And I just kind of put my tongue in her mouth like, and that was it. It was just like a blep, like just like,
I feel like that's like a ukulele move.
She had done kisses before, and after we kissed, she said, "That wasn't very good. I don't think I'll kiss you anymore."
Oh, no. I had one of those
And then
too.
also, one of my dad's coworkers witnessed the whole thing go down, so that was embarrassing.
Oh, boy.
It really set a precedent for the rest of my kisses.
Yeah, my first like French kiss was a surprise. I didn't think this girl would want to kiss me at all, and then she did. And then afterwards, she's like, "Yeah, he wasn't very good at kissing." I was like, "I didn't know that was my first time." I would have like
Doesn't count.
I would have
Done
done
practicing.
practicing on my hand or something.
I actually had braces during my first actual kiss.
Oh God.
That was scary.
Never kissed a girl with braces. I feel like that's good. I feel like I probably won't.
Yeah, at this point in your life, I'm gonna go ahead and assume probably not.
There's adult braces. Those are things.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, super braces. Yeah,
Territory here.
I feel like I'm also. I hope we're all at a point in our life past bad kisses. But like a year ago, I was seeing a girl and she was just like, her teeth kept hitting my teeth. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing is fine.
I think you can still be kissing incompatible though as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have someone who's not necessarily a bad kisser, it's just not your type.
I think worse is just the like the cold fish. Like
Oh yeah, we were.
you're like, what?
We were
Are you hanging? Are you gonna?
Yeah,
do
we were
this
talking
too,
about
or-
yeah. Stop. Okay, first off, the way you're giving me a look makes it sound like we were cold fishing each other.
I mean, it's not untrue.
I didn't like that comment you said about butts earlier. That hurt my feelings.
All right. Okay, so one last one. Ben Lai says, did the Beyond crew think we'll see Bloodborne 2 at E3?
God, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
What do we want from that? Just more of the same, or do we want something weird and
Honestly,
crazy?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Bloodborne is still my favorite, probably my favorite game of this generation. Maybe a close second to The Witcher. But God damn, do I love that game. And I played the hell out of it. And I would love to go back in and explore more of that world. I
We
think
think we'll see it this year?
I don't know. I hope so, but I
think so?
don't think so. No. Yeah. I'd like to say yes, but I don't know.
I think we'll get that game eventually. Bloodborne 2 was such a success. Like, we'll get it. Just don't know when.
I mean, we currently don't know anything from stuff. What was those eyes you gave me? You gave me sexual eyes.
I'm still thinking about those limp fish kisses we were doing earlier. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fine.
2017.
That's what friends do. We don't know what FromSoft's working on right now, like to finish the last bit of the Dark Souls 3 DLC, so they currently have no projects in development, so I could totally see a Bloodborne 2 teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we see anything at all, it'll be that. It'll be a teaser.
Yeah.
You know. No, yeah.
What if they just made like a match 3 game where it's just a bunch of like nasty babies and little
I'd still play
skulls and mops and stuff
Yeah.
you rearrange? Just
Yeah.
old buckets that explode and get dust everywhere.
Big mop horses.
I'd still play
Moldy
it.
books.
Oh, that game
nasty
is so
things.
good.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been Beyond. We do this every week.
We got
be
one more
back
question
again.
here.
Oh, I don't want to answer that question.
We can't do that.
It's too hard.
That's fair.
Kevin Guti, I'm sorry we didn't get to your question this week. It was too good.
too hard.
Correct answer is
good of a
Portal
question.
3.
I'm not answering that.
Anyway, Portal 3, yes.
Is that how you end all shows now? You just do
Crumple
a
out the
good
paper?
crumple?
I don't know. It's an easier way to get rid of the paper than just to carry it out and,
I mean, you just threw it on the floor, so now someone else has to do it.
Throwing something's great. It's a fun time.
Can't someone else
Most
do it?
games are based on throwing something. Anyway, yeah, we do this show every week.
Silly show.
As I mentioned earlier, be sure to like and subscribe and leave comments and all that. We are on youtube.com/IGNBeyond, so hop on over there and leave a nice comment and say hello. And on that note, we were all on Twitter. I'm sorry, I'm very tired today.
Fine.
Okay.
I'm Max Scoville. She's Charl Anazard. He's Zacharias D. And this one right here is McBiggity with 2 G's
thank
and
you,
2
Max.
T's.
Okay.
Beyond.
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 Nah.
Blip.